Hello there, welcome back to another video. So if you saw the thumbnail of this particular video, yes, it is quite literally what I think. It is probably Lattafa's best, sexiest fragrance release yet. And it's quite a fragrance, to be very honest. The first sniff that I had at this was just superb. And I'm talking about the new release, or the one that came out towards the end of the last year. This is the Teriaq Intense from Lattafa. And now we must talk about something, which is Lattafa has been actually, upping its release games quite very well, something like the way how the Armaf is been doing, where the releases are getting fewer, but the releases are getting actually fantastic. Okay, so it's been the case with Lattafa as well. And I know that there's another fragrance called His Confession, which was released, even that is supposed to be stellar. But this one just took me by surprise when I first sniffed it, because if you recollect, the Teriaq was also released last year, which is originally created by Quentin Bisch, which was a little more feminine type of a fragrance, and it was a little more lighter. Okay, now what I recall is that it was the first Quentin Bisch perfume created for Lattafa. So I was really expecting it to be very bold and different, but it was not the case. It was very light. But this, on the other end, is absolutely quite the opposite, which is loud, crazy, and we'll talk about all of it more on this video. If you are new to this particular channel, and if you kind of like Middle Eastern fragrance reviews or even Indian house fragrance reviews like that, then definitely hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. You're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get going right after this intro. Well, welcome back. And I've already told you that this is probably one of their nicest release yet, and for all that right reasons. So you must be thinking that I am already on one side of this fragrance. But before we get a little more deeper into talking about why I think so, let me quickly talk you through the box itself. So the box kind of looks like this. It has this Lattafa's writing like this and the hologram at the back. Very, very nice packaging. In fact, a very quirky type of a packaging. And the bottle kind of sits like this. Obviously, we had decanted this particular unit, and the bottle looks like this. So the cap was a little loose. So the juice is very dark. You can see that it's a very ambery colored juice, and it has the snake like texture, or the same thing that you would have seen in the previous release of the previous Teriaq that was there. Okay, now let me do one quick spray. Okay, and the sprayer is actually nice. Okay, so we can actually do another one because this is quite intoxicating that way. Now, before we actually start talking about the fragrance, let me talk to you about the maker of this, which is Quentin Bisch. Now, Quentin Bisch is very, very popular for a lot of releases, and he has worked with a lot of fragrance brands, and he has done a lot of fragrances, most namely, so you can think about, the Azaros Most Wanted, and a lot of the other fragrances, including niche houses and so forth. So getting Quentin Bisch to do something for Lattafa is actually quite a big thing. And this version, the Teriaq Intense, is actually fantastic because it is very different to anything else that you've smelled. It does not replicate or clone any fragrance as such. People, especially sellers, they have mentioned saying that, or they mentioned saying that this is a dupe of Tom Ford's Plum Japonias. It is not at all that. It is completely original in my opinion, and something that you would think that is like a designer release but done by a Middle Eastern fragrance brand. So it is probably one of their best releases, or the sexiest fragrance to come out in a very long time, or probably the best fragrance that they've released for all throughout the years. Okay, now the reason why I say this is because the kind of juice quality this has, the kind of depth this carries, the kind of scent profile this has is absolutely stunning. Okay, now this opens with a good amount of sweetness. Okay, so there is a definite sweetness there is, and you will think about cinnamon type of a vibe or a saffron type of a vibe, because that's the type of a spicy sweetness that you kind of get. Definitely you get that, and there's a light hint of a ambery type of a smoky type an element. Now there is a good amount of amberiness to it, and there is a good amount of smokiness to it as well. And then there is a deep, kind of a tart note, which is basically the plum note, but a more denser, boozier type of a note, but not boozy like angel share type of a boozy, not that hard of a boozy note, but definitely a very, very dense note at the dry down. Then as it goes into a dry down, you get a more of a chocolatey, you can say a tonka bean coffee type of a vibe as well. Okay, that's the essential scent profile that I get, which is a sweet, spicy, cinnamon sweetness, plum tartness, and a good amount of woody, powdery, dry down. Especially a lot like this coffee sweet type of a dry down, a little bit like how you smell even liquid bruins kind of a dry down, or the opening, something like that is something that you get. Okay, but when you think about what you kind of get with that is the loudness. Oh my god, the loudness on this is killer performance. In stark contrast to how Teriaq was released, this is totally opposite. It is super loud. Now when I say super loud, if you do like say 6 to 8 sprays, and if you're in a closed environment, it is going to fill up an entire room. One second, this thing lasts for hours. So I have been wearing it even in the summers, because in the daytime also this kind of fragrance smells really good in the air, and it lasts, even does about 5 to 6 hours in the daytime. On your apparels it lasts 14 hours, 15 hours, even next day also. If you pick up your clothes, you will still be able to smell it. But safely to say 10 to 12 hours is something that you get from Teriaq Intense, which is absolutely killer. Okay, now so obviously the juice smell, the fragrance way it kind of smells, it's it kind of smells like a little like Tom Ford's new releases, like Vanille Fatale, or if you think about Black Lacquer, or that kind of a dense note. Okay, dense fragrance, not a mild fragrance. So there is that beautiful amount of woody, chocolatey, tonka beans vibe with a little bit of that sweetness, the cinnamon sweetness that you see similar to like that of a little bit like a brune, a liquid brune, or Perfumes de Marly's Altair. Okay, now the way this personifies as a fragrance for me is, if I had smelled it before December, this would have been on my #1 winter fragrance list for sure. Okay, or at least the top 3 I can safely say. But even now it's not late. This is one of the best fragrances that I've smelled from Lattafa, hands down. It absolutely is gorgeous. Now it kind of fills in, this could be just that one scent that you might want to wear for parties, you might want for date nights, you want to wear it for any special occasions. It would fill all of those places because it smells absolutely wonderful, and trust me, you will get compliments from it. This is one of those scents that is absolutely phenomenal in the way it kind of smells in the air. Now if you're somebody who does not like loud fragrances, then I suggest that you stay away, or do a lot lesser in terms of sprays. Just do 1 or 2 sprays because it is good enough. But if you enjoy a beautiful, sweet, dense, cinnamon, and a little bit of that plum, dark plum with a liquor note to it. So there is a note of, if you look at notes from this fragrance, it basically talks about bergamot, and then a little bit of cinnamon. It talks about plum, it talks about plum liqueur, and it talks about tonka beans, and it talks about amber, all of these elements. But like I said, keep the note profile aside. It also has benzoin for that smoky effect thing that I was talking about. But if you keep all of that aside, just as a scent, you get a very beautiful, sweet, cinnamony, with a little bit of that kind of a dense, dark note that comes as part of the boozy vibe. And then of course, a good amount of slight smoky element, and the tonka beans to round the whole thing up. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, now in my opinion, if you kind of get this, you can replace your usual date night fragrances, you can replace your party fragrances as well. It has got a beautiful persona to it, and I am praising it because it is kind of absolutely good at the budget price point of 2,500 to 2,800 rupees. If you're able to get this is one of the nicest fragrances that you will experience this year, especially because it is made by a popular perfumer, Quentin Bisch, and you can definitely feel that signature of that kind of a scent. Now this is extremely unisex. It is very playboyish, it is very playful, it is very sexy. So men can wear it, women can wear it, boys, girls, anybody can carry it off. Absolutely beautiful. I would say it's a little more well complementing, especially in the evenings and not in the daytime. So definitely a evening wear and a date night kind of a scent, and something that is killer. Okay, and this is really nice. I'm thankful to Quentin Bisch for doing this, because when you compare Teriaq of last year, where I told you it was a little more lighter, a little more softer, same bottle, different bottle color, but the same type of a design, but the overall juice is just absolutely gorgeous. If you were to pick up top 10 releases of last year, when you think about Performance Day, Alter clone like Brune and all of that, Oud Maracuja releases and stuff, this is right up there, and this will be one of the nicest fragrances that you should consider getting even this year, because I know for a fact that in the winters this year, this will be a killer fragrance for you to try. All right, so I will put in the link below in case you're interested to get this, but let me definitely say that you must absolutely experience this fragrance if you like a dark, sweet, slightly smoky, slightly masculine type of complementing fragrance that can be worn for date nights, parties, clubbing, all of that. You will thoroughly enjoy this. This is Teriaq Intense, and if you kind of like this type of a review, definitely hit the like button, subscribe and share, and I'll see you on another one. Until another time, take care. Bye bye.